Trigger warning. Possible sexual abuse. Long time lurker. First time poster. I must have been around 6 or 7 when it started. I would get severe stomach aches. My mom would always brush me off and say that I was just getting my period. Anytime I was emotional, same thing. I have a memory of her being on the phone with my friend's mom saying, "I just know she's gonna get her period any day now. I can tell." I was mortified. When I was around 11 or 12, she and my grandma forced me to get naked so that they could see how I was developing. They ogled my breasts and forced me to expose my genitals, even shoving my arms down so that they could see if I had any pubic hair. My mom even stroked it. I felt so violated and wanted to die tbh. When I did end up getting my period at age 13, I didn't tell her or anyone. I had to get by with makeshift paper towel or toilet paper pads. It was awful. I would hide them and then throw them away in the outside garbage can in the middle of the night. I felt disgusting and ashamed, but telling her about it seemed even worse. It was Thanksgiving at Grandma's when she finally found out. I was 14. By this time, she'd been harassing me about it constantly and even told me that we'd have to go to a doctor to get it induced if I didn't get it soon. I don't even know if that's a thing. In a cruel twist of fate, my flow was the heaviest it had ever been. That day and my toilet paper pad wasn't cutting it, so I kept going to the bathroom to the point where it was noticeable. She cornered me, and I had no choice but to confess. Apparently her and mine grandma had been speculating. Mine grandma yelled across the house from the kitchen, "Did she start her period?" Everyone heard it. I wanted the ground to swallow me. On the car ride home, in front of my dad and brothers, my mom started hounding me about it, asking how I felt when it happened, telling me that I had to tell her every time it started and ended, that I was never allowed to use tampons, and ask me what time I got it. I told her that I'd actually been getting it for about a year. She lost her mind. She screamed and cried over and over that I'd hurt her. I couldn't bring myself to tell her about it every month, like she wanted me to, and I was too scared to ever bring it up to anyone else, so I wasn't given any supplies, and didn't have access to them, until I was able to drive. It was hell. My boyfriend at the time of all people was the person who helped me figure out how to use a tampon. Knowing her, I doubt she ever questioned why I didn't feel comfortable coming to her about it in the first place. In her mind, she'd been slighted. I was the horrible daughter who ruined milestones and did everything to spite her and make her miserable, something she's said to me on multiple occasions. Edit. Thanks so much to everyone who read this and to everyone who commented. Thank you to this wonderful community for giving me the chance to share and heal. Thank you to those of you who shared your own stories. It breaks my heart that so many of you have been through similar. But I'm also very touched that you felt like you could talk about it here, and grateful that you chose to do so. Because I know it's not easy. I hope that it was healing for all of you as well. I remember as a 4 or 5-year-old that my mother used to scream at me every time she saw me touching my face, especially my head. She constantly used to say that my bones are not hard enough and that I could end up with a huge dent in my head. 4 years after, she would tell me I had this dent because I did that so much as a child and that I should control myself more. In the light of COVID-19, I think most of you have heard advice to reduce touching our faces when outside, and we all know how hard that can be even as an adult, never mind a 4 or 5-year-old. Yet, growing up, my mother would constantly remind me how bad I was and tell me my head was weirdly shaped as a result, but that thanks to a full head of thick hair that I had inherited from her, as she would regularly remind me as well, it was hidden away. So with the local barbers all closed, I set out yesterday to use my 15-year-old set of clippers. Suffice to say they broke down halfway through the job and my only option was to shave. So with the skin on my head bare for the first time in over 40 years, it turns out my head is pretty normally shaped, not attractive as some bald heads, but no weird dents or gaps either. It's nice to see all those problems that I have been told all my childhood I had, even now, 20 years later, crumble from time to time. A few months back I spilled ice cream in my fiance's car. I started to profusely apologize, to which my fiance brushed it off and laughed, saying it was cool, he needed to clean the car anyway. He wasn't even looking at me, that's how chilled he was about it. I then completely regressed to a time long ago when I was a kid and the abusive punishment never ever fit the crime. I started having a panic attack in the car and I started trembling and crying. My eyeliner ran. What a mess. My fiance looked at me horrified and grabbed my hands and face and demanded what was wrong. He was painfully concerned. He thought I was in pain or something and related to the ice cream. I shit you not. I lost my words. It was like I was 6. I managed to choke out the words I'm sorry for spilling ice cream on the handbrake. And I started hyperventilating bad. My fiance saw my eyes in that moment and I know that he knew in that moment I went through some fucked up shit. He told me WTF. I don't care about the stupid ice cream. Fuck that. You can spill it 100 times. I wouldn't care. I care about you. I still didn't stop crying. He looked at me and dumped his ice cream cone on his dashboard head first and looked at me. I was shocked. I stopped. He took my face, held it firmly, and said to me, you don't have to be sorry anymore for things that are part of life's little happenings. I felt that. I'll tell you all that this journey of healing is a conscious choice every damn day. Healing is not a destination, but a conscious choice, and you have to choose to break the cycle every day. And if you can't, have someone who will see you being triggered and help you to see a better way. Love and healing to you all. My therapist just asked me what my earliest memory of my mom is, so I started telling her about my 5th birthday party. My mom, single, 24-year, with a 3-year son also, was throwing me a party for my birthday. It was going to be at my house with all my friends from kindergarten and my family. I was very excited and had been looking forward to it for a while. About 2 hours from the party, my mom took me to my room and told me that if I couldn't clean my room up in time for the party, she was going to cancel it. It was dirty, messy, and disorganized, like me. Of course, as a 5-year-old, I couldn't clean what she had allowed to become a disaster area, especially with no support from my parent, who had never shown me how to clean up after myself. BC, she also never cleans up after herself. I was heartbroken about my party being cancelled. BC, even from the start I knew I couldn't clean it in time. I don't know why, but it took my therapist saying the words out loud to me. Your mother would not have been able to cancel the party in 2 hours, especially over a room that she could have closed the door on. She probably didn't send the invitations, make any plans, buy any supplies. Instead, she allowed her 5-year-old daughter to think that she didn't deserve a party because she was dirty, messy, and disorganized. And unfortunately for me, I really believed her. What kind of person does that to their child? A narcissist. I hate that she disgusts me over and over again, but I still have to fight wanting her approval. I was on the phone with my brother a few weeks ago. We shot the shit. He talked about his new job and I talked about school. Usually phone calls between my siblings, and I end with a well, gotta go. Talk to you later, and that's it. Growing up we didn't get told I love you at all from our parents, and never got shown any physical affection. It was just normal for us to reflect that in the relationship on each other, because we didn't know anything else. So we get to the end of our phone call, and I go for the classic talk to you later, and he responds okay, I love you. It caught me so off guard that I had trouble even processing those words, before he hung up. L love, you too. These last few weeks I've tried my hardest to end all of the phone calls I have with him and my sisters with I love you. It's such a small thing, but I can always hear the smiles on their faces in their response.